How to privately hold assets. I think this is an important topic. I think it's a topic that is not discussed enough. I understand the implications with regards to, money. And, people don't really like talking about money. But let's just talk about assets. When I say privately hold assets, I mean, as plain as I can state it, to hold assets or title property and assets in such a manner that they cannot be taken. The best lawyers, the best prosecutors, the best attorney generals, they can't touch it, no matter what, as long as certain considerations are maintained. This is what I want to talk about today on the show. This is the foundation. My name is Sot L, Seeker of Truth L, Speaker of Truth L, and we're going to talk about how to privately hold assets. Now, when people think about, holding assets, I know most people just title things in their name. And I'm not going to get into, the name. But I will say that, there's certain jurisdictions that need to be taken into consideration with regards to property and title, right? So I'm a firm believer, matter of fact, I know it's a fact, that any structure that is created by the state is therefore controlled by the state. That being an LLC, a corporation, a partnership, what I would consider statutory trusts or statutorily governed trusts, and as well as the individual. I don't care what anyone says. There's a state seal on every birth certificate. And to me, that means something, and that fact is very significant. So when it comes to titling property, I don't think people take into consideration liability. Most of us are caught up obtaining things, chasing the money, grinding it out. But when we get the things, we just kind of, a lot of people fumble. You should look at the numbers with regards to NBA players. And when they quit the NBA, how fast they go bankrupt. It's a staggering number. And I don't think it has anything to do with the power of gaining assets or acquiring assets. I think most of us are pretty good at that. I think it's, holding them and maintaining control over them, not losing them. And this can be anything from your car to your house to a checking account to a watch to anything. And when it comes to protections with regards to litigation, taxes, probate, lawsuits, holding assets privately is very, very important. Also, we have, older people, brothers and sisters who listen to, the show. When you get up there in age, there's a thing called Medicare. Medicaid, and you can't have a certain number, a certain value of assets and qualify for those programs. What it ends up doing, and I've seen this happen, people end up having to sell their property, sell their assets, and pay for their care until they have no more money, and then they qualify for Medicaid and Medicare. Well, if you're privately holding your assets, if your assets are held privately, there's no need to sell off the assets to meet specific requirements to partake of specific programs. So let's talk about this a little. I want to jump into that. That was a long intro, y'all. And that, that's my fault. I apologize for that. But, we had to get it right. So, as I always start off, first and foremost, be sure to check out welcome to thefoundation.com. Sign up for the email list, por favor. That's please in Spanish if you didn't know. We got a lot of stuff happening, going on. You want to stay up to date. You want to stay tuned. It's a great resource. We have a free PDF section. We saw gurus charging for, so we pancaked their toes and put it out there for free. We have an education section. You can contact us. You can make a donation. You can follow us on social media. You can learn about who we are and what we do. All at welcome to thefoundation.com. But, minimum, I would say just minimum, the email list. And then check out, the hieroglyphics in the background. It's luxurious. It's a beautiful thing. The most comprehensive trust administration training available, period, is here at the foundation. Link in the description if you would like to sign up. It's videos, it's audios. You learn at your own pace. It's documents that you get via U.S. mail. There's documents that you get from the course itself. There's documents that you will receive via email. It's guided. We have a support team in place for all questions. It's learn at your own pace. No tests, no quizzes, no pressure. If you've been looking around trying to find a way, I need to learn how to administer trust. Okay. I need the trust indenture. Okay. I need to know how to create the trust indenture and put the right jurisdiction in there. Okay. This is training. These are things that are mandatory for private trustees. And these are the things that you will learn in trustee training, from creating the trust, administering the trust, protecting the trust, litigating on behalf of the trust, defining and protecting the private position, and obviously creating documents, minutes, the administration, obtaining EINs, opening bank accounts, all of it. As I said, link in the description if you're interested. If you're not, you can mosey, just, keep moving. If you ever wanted to start your business, you didn't know how, maybe you didn't believe in yourself, let's take care of all that. Link in the description, how to start a business. It's comprehensive. Once again, learn at your own pace. Take your time. You learn the benefits of owning the business. You're going to learn how to start the business. From the Secretary of State to the Internal Revenue Service. Some businesses have to get a state EIN. You learn how to determine whether or not you got to do that. Operating agreements, bylaws, all of it. If you want to start your business. This is it. Link in the description. And we also have the Foundation magazine. So luxurious, so luxurious. This is Elegante. It's a beautiful thing. We're coming up on the year anniversary of this magazine. We have a digital subscription. We have a print edition. We talk about a lot of things, from cybersecurity to horticultural. Plants, man, learning how to grow and live off the land. It's stuff that we don't get into on the show, but we're more than happy to get into in the Foundation magazine. Once again, link in the description. Last but not least, we are doing a giveaway. Check out our Instagram, instagram.com/welcome to the foundation. But here's the giveaway. Free set of AirPods. I mean, it's free, That's all I got to say. If you're into AirPods, I don't know anyone who isn't. This is how you enter. I'm just going to leave it here. I'm kind of being quiet. I want y'all to, check this. If you're checking out the show and you're somehow listening to this and you're not watching the video, I'm showing the flyer for the giveaway. It's on our Instagram. Check it out if you're interested in winning free stuff. But let's get into this. I did go to Merrill Lynch, right? Because I don't know, Merrill Lynch. It's I would say, a reputable banking institution, or quasi banking institution. I don't want people to think that I'm making things up. Benefits of trust. Protecting and preserving your assets, customizing and controlling how your wealth is distributed. This is a big one for a lot of people. Minimizing federal and state taxes. Addressing family dynamics, for example, divorce or blended families. Helping a parent or other relative manage their financial affairs. These are some of the benefits that they put, and there's a lot of benefits. And I think, depending on what source you're looking at, they will describe, the benefits that, pertain to them. Case in point, Merrill Lynch. But there are many, 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 many benefits of trust. And private trust is how you privately hold assets. What is a private trust? It's a contract. It's a contract between the parties, not between the state. The state isn't involved in this contract. The contract isn't governed by the laws of the state of. That does not exist in the contract. This contract is recognized to do business in over 120 countries. You can check out the Hague Convention on the Recognition of Trusts to verify that. You can obtain an EIN with this contract. There's a large distinction between a trust contract and a trust agreement. So, when you obtain an EIN for the trust contract, this allows it to, participate in commerce. This means purchasing, selling, doing business, titling vehicles, property, contracting. In much of the same way as an individual, the distinction is the individual is the only one that can be an employee. That's where a lot of people mess up. They get their 9-8 number and then they feel like they can use that in lieu or instead of a social. But that's a slight digression. But there are many, 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 many benefits to trust. I just want to talk about how to privately hold assets. And then I want to talk about the benefits first though, And once again, the main benefit, in my opinion, is litigation. There's no litigation. How is that so? How does that make sense? It makes sense because the trust is a separate and distinct legal entity. It's a legal person. You can look this up. Just like a corporation is a legal person, an individual is a legal person, an LLC is a legal person, a partnership is a legal person. Governments are legal persons. Cities, municipalities are legal persons. And this allows for the, titling of assets. So if it's a distinct legal person and it owns the assets and you don't, when you are potentially sued, those assets aren't up for grabs. They're not subject to attachment by way of successful litigation, or, I guess depending on the side of the litigating table, unsuccessful litigation. So, quick example. You have two people who get in the exact identical accidents. They're both driving cars, same exact cars. They go to the same exact stop sign. They run into the same exact family at the stop sign. They weren't paying attention. They're looking down at their phone, trying to respond to a text from, let's just be nice. We'll keep it cool. and say they're responding to a text from one of their children. It's a slight emergency. But they weren't paying attention. They rode through the stop sign. They ran into a bunch of people. They ran into a family. It's a family of 5. They only hit 3, but one of them really got messed up. Needed a lot of surgery on their leg, a lot, and on their hip, a lot. And we're talking $250,000, upwards of $400,000 worth of medical bills. And still growing because this person has to go and do another surgery. Their femur was shattered. Their coccyx. I don't know, But one of these drivers does not have their assets privately held. They're not private. They haven't transitioned to the private. They haven't set up their business trust, their asset trust, their family trust, nothing. And everything is titled in their name. And the other driver 100% has everything set up in trust, and they have apportioned their assets accordingly. Right? The first driver, who has nothing in trust, they lost their car, probably. If you're shattering bones and stuff, you're doing a lot of damage to your car. And let's say insurance fixed it, but the car is an asset. There's a civil judgment. And because there was an accident, that driver did roll through the stop sign. That driver lost the civil suit. And there was a judgment, let's just say $350,000. Right? Let's say the insurance only covers $100,000 for personal liability. So that $100,000 gone. So there's $200,000. I don't remember if I said $350 or $250,000 left, right? We'll just stick with that. And that's an open judgment. So, the attorney for the litigant, the injured, is really good at what they're doing. They start attaching bank accounts, cash accounts, personal checking accounts, anything with that driver's name on it. They force the sale of the car. They can force the sale of a home. They can force garnishment of a paycheck. And this, it was an accident. You didn't mean it. And yeah, people were hurt. But, the wealth that was accumulated for the lifestyle and for children and, grandchildren and so on, it's destroyed. 100% destroyed. Versus the second driver, who does have their assets privately held. They have the same thing, the insurance policy. And let's say that there's only that car in that particular trust. And during the time of the accident, the trustee was acting under trustee authority, which means the trustee was doing trust business. They were just, en route. So you have the insurance is $350,000. They win the judgment, $350,000. The insurance only pays $100,000. You have $250,000 left. They attach to the car. They can attach to the car. But they do it anyways. Let's say they get it. And let's say the trustee doesn't give any pushback on that. But then they started looking, the same attorney who's really good on the injured side, same attorney, very, very good, starts searching for assets in that driver's name, comes up with nothing. Confused, he hires a private investigator. The private investigator follows this second driver around. They say, hey, they report back to the attorney, hey, this guy, he walked into a very nice house. He got into a different car, and that was nicer than the other car. He drove to another property. It was kind of out in the outskirts, and was walking around that, playing, fetch with the dog and stuff like that was their property. And I ran into him at the coffee shop. He handed me a card because I struck up a conversation with him, and it says that he owns he's a CEO of a business. So the attorney starts getting into it. It's okay. So where was the address of the house? What was the address of the properties? Looks up the properties. Oh, sees that it's owned by a trust. Both of them are owned by trust, but they're both owned by different trusts. Ooh. Looks up the business. And then, pulls up, maybe it's a state that, they show the owners of the business at the Secretary of State level. So it's very easy. This is hypothetical. So he looks at the owners of the business and he's like, oh, owned by a trust. So he's like, okay, this guy's the CEO, right? So he has to be making money. And he, subpoenas, let's say he subpoenas the business records, and he gets the employment contract. And then actually in the employment contract, it says nowhere in the contract that this guy's making any actual cash. But he's driving cars. He's using these houses and stuff. But the attorney cannot attach the judgment to any of that property, to the two properties, to the car, to the business, because the judgment is in the name of the driver, not in the name of the trusts. And this is what a lot of people miss out on. A lot. And this is the power of privately holding assets, and not just, minimizing federal and state taxes. People don't want to pay taxes. I don't give legal advice. I don't really talk about taxes. But I will say that, a properly crafted, structured, and administered private trust does not file a state return. There's no requirement to file. Why is that? Because the properly crafted private trust is not created by the state or through the delegation of some state statute. It's created by the right to contract, and the contract itself does not invoke state jurisdiction. There's no need for the state of Wyoming to exist in order for there to be a private trust. And I think that's the biggest thing. They get into revocable trust, irrevocable trust, private trust. All private trusts are revocable. Anyone says that's a private trust but it's revocable, tell them I want to debate them live, because revocable trusts, those are grantor trusts, friends, and grantor trusts fall under different rules with regards to the Internal Revenue Service than complex trusts. And that's just what it is. Reasons you need to protect your assets. I like this one. This is a law firm. They advertising. I like this one because it was Midget, Preddy, and Olenson. MPO, Midget. I just think that that's entertaining to say the least. Protecting your assets from future creditors' claims, IRS, and estate taxes is something everyone with assets should consider. Even beyond creditors and income taxes, you also want to consider what will happen to your assets when planning for long-term care for your health, or if you eventually need specialized housing. like a nursing home. And this touches on the Medicare, Medicaid thing I was talking about earlier. But I mean, look at this though. Even beyond creditors and income taxes, y'all. This law firm, they're telling you also want to consider. You do not want to make a mistake of another party stepping in at some future date and claiming rights to your assets. Another reason to protect your assets is to safeguard those you plan to set aside to leave to your children and other beneficiaries. By establishing a trust, you also protect your children's inheritance from predators, creditors, spouses, and their spouses' creditors. When you set up an asset protection trust sooner rather than later, you can avoid these and other problems. To protect assets under an asset protection trust under Virginia law, this is where the attorneys will get you. All attorneys are going to create trusts under state law. Yep. An individual must establish trust to meet certain criteria, and these are going to be statutory. Let's click on this. I bet money this is going to be, we're going to the virginia.gov with a slow internet access. Let me go back here. What was that? Yep, a domestic asset protection trust. This is why I want to point this out to y'all. Domestic, that means statutory, that means state. These trusts are non-domestic, non-statutory. Be careful. You don't need an attorney to create a private trust, but you definitely need an attorney to, tell you what's up with public trusts, because them things are statutory. Look, this is Virginia law, self-settled spendthrift trusts. A settler may transfer assets to a qualified self-settled spendthrift trust and retain it in that trust to qualified interest, except otherwise. See, this is anytime you see, I'm gonna tell you honestly, anytime you see statutes, it doesn't matter what state, and they're saying what a trust cannot do, what a creditor cannot do with regards to the trust, what the grantor can do with the trustees, that's a statutory trust. That's a public trust. That's not a private trust. This stuff doesn't apply to private trusts. You have to trust and believe and trust. I like also how they always show people who are, up there in age looking at trust. When the younger you are and you get into trust, the more money you save and keep. Period. Also wanted to say that, because I'm out of here. You want to maintain your trust with, or administer your trust, and I say your trust that you're administering, not your trust possessive, because it's not yours. You are not the trust is not you. I'm serious. Maintain no contracts, especially asset trusts. It should have no contracts with anything in the public at all. And some people will say, well, how do you ensure that? Let's say the asset trust has a vehicle in there. How do you insure the vehicle? Use a different trust. And can you do that? Absolutely. Call the insurance company right now. Just go outside and pick a car at random. Look at the VIN number in the windshield and call an insurance company right now and see if you can put insurance on it. I bet you money you can. But they're only going to insure you while you're driving it. So if someone else is driving it, blah, blah. You want to have no minimum contacts with the trust. These are trusts that are holding assets. This is free game right here. 100%. No utilities, no power, no electric, no nothing. No other liability heavy assets in the same trust. So I would say you have multiple vehicles or multiple motor carriages, however you want to say it. Yeah, well, put those in multiple trusts. You don't want to have one car, two cars in the same trust. Something happens with that one car, and then it puts the other car up at risk. Or you got a car in the trust plus a house in the trust. Same thing. Most times you want to keep them separate, but no minimum contacts, no utilities, no nothing. Shouldn't even have a bank account. A trust does not need an EIN to title vehicles or property in its name. Some more free game. But how you privately hold assets, you do it in a private trust. In the private, we call them asset trusts. In the private, we also refer to business trusts. In the private, we also refer to family trusts. In the public, so much different. We just say trust. I don't care what you're talking about. In the public, they talk about business trust. Not the same as a private trust. Some people would argue with that. I don't know. But either way, I hope you learned something. I trust that, you understand how to privately hold assets right now. And, ultimately, when you're ready, we're here to help you learn how to administer these private structures, whether it's asset trust, business trust, family trust, private family foundation. You can email me, admin@welcometothefoundation.com. We should set up a consultation. That's what I would say. You can book your consultation at welcometothefoundation.com. It's, where is it? I forgot. There it is. Book a consultation right here. Throw your name in there. Throw your email in there. Keep it moving. If you have any questions, also, if you're new to this, here in the education section, I would suggest that you check out the foundation primer, the trust primer. We have the trust series, part 1, part 2, and part 3. That's, I say beginner, intermediate, and advanced. Or, just jump straight into the training. Link in the description. And, get started on your journey to private trust administration. This is how you privately hold assets. My name is Sot L, Seeker of Truth L, Speaker of Truth L. And as again, I trust y'all learned something. Y'all enjoy yourself. Take care of yourself. Make sure you say 10 things that you're thankful for before you go to sleep tonight and every night. It's very important. And I'll catch y'all tomorrow on current events. Peace, y'all.